talk about something briefly, and the Lord put this on me this week because I realized that a lot of people don't understand this, or they might have never heard of it before. So one of the things I'm going to talk about right quick, then I'm going to pray, I'm going to go to the real deal thing. Making stabs at churches. It's not the building that's false, it's the people majority of the time that's in the church. God refers to the church as a bride. He's not going to do away with it. He's going to clean it up. He's married to the church. He's married to the backslider. And in Jeremiah, you don't have to go there, 3:14-15 states, O black backsliding children, saith the Lord, I am married unto you, and I will make you one of a city, and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. And I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. I'm touching on this topic because we have a lot of people that may not be aware, may not understand some of the things that they're seeing today and what's going on. So they might be offended, or they might be scarred, or they might be hurt by some of the things that they're seeing inside the church. It's not everybody, but the majority of the time, it's coming from right here. And some people say, well, if that's the case, I have a terrible pastor or a terrible leader. And they might describe their behavior. Well, they lie all the time. Well, they cuss. Well, they cheat with some of the other staff and other bodies of the church. Or they do other things that's not biblical. I know. And one of the things that I had to keep in remembrance, and I just said it this week to another brother, about some of the foolish things that we might see from our leaders. And I said, well, the Lord says, well, since you won't serve me right, I'm going to give you boys. I'm going to give you children and foolish women to rule over you. So it's not just male pastors, it's female pastors that does these kind of things too. That's why I'm saying men and women. And you can find that in Isaiah, the 3rd chapter, the 12th verse. He says, nay. No, I'm sorry. I'm going too far. He says, for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, which lead thee, cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy path. So a lot of times we might go to church and we might see or hear things, and we're not understanding, why are people still going here? Why are people still helping these types of people? Why? Why all these different things? And one of the things that we have to keep in mind, that the Lord tells us, the wolves, the sheep and the goat, the tares and the weed and the wheat. You're going to see those things. You have to be amongst them. In order for you to understand what he is saying, you have to see it come to fruition. You have to be in the midst of it. So you have to know, okay, when am I going to see these things? You're going to see them right now. You're going to see them in 5 minutes. You're going to see them in an hour. You're going to see them in a month. You're going to see them in a year. So it takes time. And it takes time for you to fully grasp and understand what is he talking about. So in Matthew, the 13th chapter, I'm going to go to 29, okay? Now, these things that you might be seeing, they are ordained by God. God has already given them full throttle, full permission to do what they're going to do. He knows what they're going to do. He pre-prophesied on what they're going to do. But he said, nay, Lest ye gather up the tares, ye root also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather first the tares, and behind them in bundles burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So the people that are still serving God, the people that still understand kingdom provision and kingdom principle, those people still come and open up the church. Rain, sunshine, one person, no person, just them alone. They know their position and their duty and what they're supposed to do. You have the people that still come and play music. You have the people that still come and sit in the pews. You have the people that still go out and serve homeless people. You have people that go and still do exactly what they're supposed to do. A lot of times we get caught up because of what we're seeing in church, from the leadership, from the pews. But he's telling you, these are two separate people. You got your tares and you got your wheat. You don't worry about what they're going to do on the inside, the terrible things that they're going to do. He has a remnant and he has a remedy for what you're going to see. He still has people out there that will still get up and do his work. Sometimes he only needs one. Just imagine that God is seeing the few people that still will do his will and his work in his way. He says, come into my vineyard and work. Come to my vineyard. So even this place, when I first seen it, this place reminded me of that scripture. And she said it too. You know, many people have said it too. And it's very hard to come to that reality. When you look out here, this is a perfect example of how a vineyard might look. And what you'll be doing and the way that you'll be working. You won't have a bunch of interference like you might have at a mega church or a bigger church or something like that. You won't have the voices in your head telling you, well, why are you still going to church? Well, why are you still doing this? Well, why are you still doing that? Because this is the authority that God has given to me. This is the job that he has given to me. It's never going to be easy. But through him, I can do it because I cannot do this on my own. I'm not strong enough. I will fly off the handle. I will go crazy. I will have an attitude. I can't do it on my own. So then there's comments that people make. They're sure doing a lot for this little bitty church, for this little bitty choir, for those little bitty homeless people. Don't look like nothing happening to me, but it looked like something is happening to God. He can see the few that he has, and you alone just might be the person with your posture, your behavior, you serving your duty. He might pass over with judgment and pass over this church. And he might say, no, not right there. Not that place. Not inside of this building. Not inside of that school. Not inside of that shelter. Well, why not, God? My servant is in there. Your servant is in there. There's only one. Sometimes that's all God needs. Sometimes that's all he needs. And depending on our posture and what we do and how we continue to serve him no matter what. And I've given many examples and many stories of holding the position. Because that is, everybody in here, that's all of our duty. Is to stay where you are. Stay where you are. And I'm not talking about people that's stuck in their mess and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about whatever duty you're supposed to be serving out to God, whatever he's unctioning you to do, you stay right there. When we talked about the armor and we talk about the position of the soldiers, it's the same thing. Hold the line. But I'm getting punched and stabbed and kicked. Hold the line. Stand up straight. Pick your shield up. Where's your sword at? These are some of the things that we're forgetting. So some people think that when they're coming to church, they're coming to church for accolades and degrees and diplomas, and because they have all the prestige, and because they're friends, and they have all these other things in a way. But really it's all trash. And Paul said it much nicer than me. He said, everything that I gained in the world, I count it all as dung. Dung is cow boo-boo, or any other feces that you can think of. So he said it way better than I can say it, I guess. In a more biblical term. So somebody can't say you're using it wrong. No. Even Paul said it too, it's trash. So we think that those kind of things keep us in position. But that's not really what we're here for. And I'm not telling anybody, don't go to school and get degrees and don't try to be successful. Of course. That if that's the desire of your heart, God will give that to you. So he's looking down and he's seeing the teachers, the musicians, the homeless advocates, those that are faithful. He's seeing his faithful preachers. He's seeing his faithful wives. He's seeing his faithful husbands. He's seeing faithful children. He's seeing everybody in grabbing and doing what they're supposed to do together. He's seeing people raising head crushers and not hell raisers. He's looking down and he's seeing all of this. Even though we know what kind of time we're in right now. This is a pure separation. And just because you see people go and run straight out of here and run back into the world does not mean you just go haywire too. Well, my pastor don't teach us right. God got a remedy for that. Your job is never to worry about what the leadership is doing, because he got a remedy for that. Don't worry about the church. He got a remedy for that. And he's telling us. That's why I read about the tares. He gonna bundle one up and keep them. He gonna bundle one up and burn them. You don't have any other choice. Some people have said, well, the church is getting small. Well, keep in mind, God said there's going to be a great falling away. Okay? And then there's another question. Well, they don't preach or they don't teach us right. He says the word of the Lord is going to be scarce. That means you're not going to be able to find it. And wherever you do find it at, that's God's servant. That's God's servant, for sure. Has to be. And I just said it today. When we're out there, I'll be your friend. But when we're in here, all bets are off. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know. But I'm not trying to kill nobody, that's for sure. But he does say the word is sharp. It's sharper than a two-edged sword. So sometimes we leave out leaking. Sometimes we don't. Then we have people who are in beliefs that they might be the only one left. But God will show them you're not the only person left. I have a remnant. I have a remnant and I have a remedy. Okay. So we're going to go into a final chapter, but I just wanted to touch bases on kingdom principle, kingdom provision. Because a lot of people aren't being taught that, and they're not understanding why they're coming to church. What is happening? How come we haven't moved past the Old Testament? Why haven't we moved on to the other chapters? And if your leader has not taught you that, he has failed you. If you haven't even heard half of what I just said within a month of being at church, you've been failed. And that's just the bottom line of it. And no matter what you see, because you're going to see some stuff, you got to make sure you keep yourself in reminder. And even I was asked recently, why I still get up here and do this kind of thing. I got 2 little ears back there listening to me, and 4, including God. I know what I'm supposed to do, no matter what anybody else's position is, no matter what I see happening. You got to keep going. And sometimes our leadership, sometimes they do know what to do, but sometimes they do wrong. You got to remember, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. That's so true. They are human, just like us. He ain't say that leadership don't have superpowers, that they gonna be able to resist all the time. But it does say, resist the devil and he will flee. But sometimes they give in. So this is not me saying something to bash pastors or bash churches or bash any other bodies of Christ, whatever their duties or jobs are. God will give them exactly what they need and where they need to be. He will provide. And even if he sees that there's places where it's failing, he will raise those people out of there and send somebody in, because they've been compromised. They're perplexed now. They can't finish their job or their duty. They can't handle it anymore. So he ain't stupid. He can see. He can hear. He knows what's happening. We're going to go over to 1 Kings. And the 19th chapter. And just say amen when you get there.